now. We will just start again in order to have a video that we can also upload after the webinar. So welcome everybody to the third webinar of universAAL. It is called the Universal Reference Architecture. There have been already two webinars, one about the general overview of universAAL, where we briefly address all the points that universAAL is about. And the second video is about the reference model. It's quite a long one where we really describe how we got to this reference model, and this webinar today is going to take it to the next step and break the reference model down to the reference architecture. My name is Konstantin Kersten. I'm from Process Software, and I'm working in the project as well as my colleague Wendelin Arnaudo. He's in this work package who deals with the reference architecture, and so we have an expert here today who can tell us details about the reference architecture.
Hi, my name is Wendelin Arnaudo, as mentioned. Can you hear me?
I think his microphone is still not working, so I would just ask him to come to my microphone and use my PC instead. So I hand over to Wendelin, and please give us some details about the reference architecture. I'm looking forward.
Can you hear me now? No?
No, we still can't hear Wendelin. Maybe let's try this.
Okay, also. Hello? Hi, can you hear me now?
Now it is working. Perfect. So please, Wendelin, I hand over to you.
Thank you for your patience, and please excuse the technical problems. What we are going to do now is, as Konstantin mentioned, we are going to present the reference architecture of universAAL. For those of you that have not attended the previous webinars or not seen the YouTube video, I would like to present short information on the project. This would be done in the introduction of reference architecture. Then I would like to talk about the business context. This is specification of the stakeholders and their proposition needs. We have identified the key components that will be described in the structural aspects section of this presentation. Then we have mapped the value propositions of the stakeholders to specific services that could be traded among the stakeholders. And by mapping these services on the technological ICT architecture, we show how the services can be implemented and deployed in the real world. So at the end, I'm going to provide you with some example of deployment scenarios. Going further, the main universal objectives were to provide an open and scalable technological platform that facilitates the development and deployment of a broad range of AL services. Also, the propagation and acceptance, adoption of this platform through the communities. Last time I have presented you with this diagram that depicts the main stakeholders, platforms that identified in universAAL, starting with the developer support platform that is responsible for providing tools and for development of the services and the infrastructure. We have UStore, our application store, where these services can be published, stored, and published, shared with the community. And we have runtime platform, normally in the home of the elderly person, where these services can be executed, so the added value is offered to the end user, to assisted person. So, when we are talking about something, let us agree on the definition. So, I have taken definition out of the OASIS association. This is Organization for Advancement of Structured Information Standards. And it says that a reference architecture models the abstract architectural elements or building blocks in domain independent of the technologies, protocols, and products that are used to implement this domain. It differs from the reference model in that a reference model describes the important concepts and relationships of the domain, focusing on what distinguishes the elements of the domain, while a reference architecture elaborates further on the model to show a more complete picture that includes what exactly is involved in the realizing of the model entities. Our task is not to present how is this realized, implemented, but what should be realized and implemented. In this, we should agree on a set of shared concepts, like stakeholders, classes, technology, etc. Set of generic use cases that we called last time reference use cases that present the behavior of the system. Also a set of functions and services that could be used for realization of the use cases. In universAAL, we have split the specification work into 3 sections. First, the reference model, as you have heard. It provides the common understanding of the domain. Then we have a reference architecture that provides more detailed information for the software developers and specific software solution provided by concrete architecture. universAAL produce the reference architecture as a combination of bottom-up and empirical data. This is a collection of experience of other AEO-related projects like Amigo, Genesis, Empower, Oasis, Persona, and Soprano, and also top-down definitions. This is the specification of the reference architecture services offered by the platform, building blocks, etc., that are provided by the concrete architecture. The reference architecture needs to guarantee some level of compliance among concrete architectures, and at the same time, it should make sure to allow innovation and competition in the real world. That's why we try to be as simple as possible and focus only on the very important things. The rest we have left for the complex architecture and implementation. So we can move further to the business context that deals mainly with the stakeholders and their relationship with each other, the value proposition that they offer to each other. We discern two main types of stakeholders, platform stakeholders, here the rounded rectangles. These are the stakeholders that provide and operate platform components in the AO environment. So we see such stakeholders as runtime platform providers, developer platform providers, and community platform providers. Also, we have client stakeholders. These are the stakeholders that buy the platform functionality provided by the above three groups of platform stakeholders. So these are end users, developers, and AO service providers. We have another type of stakeholder. These are authorities that do not match directly in this diagram, but they are able to employ their requirements and execute control on standards and about the services that we offer. So, moving to the structural aspects, here we have the main information concepts. In the AO service platform, the key concept is of course the AO service, and its information is stored in the platform in the form of AO service description. This description contains references to the implementation of the service. We have agreed that a service is constituted by parts that could be hardware parts, one or more software parts, and human resources. The developers contribute implement the hardware part, the software part, while the end user is benefiting or using all three parts. The service provider is responsible for providing the service and its description to the community. Then we have top-level components. As you remember from the cover diagram in the beginning, we have three main components. We have defined as a runtime platform, community support platform, and developer support platform with their providers and also tools. In the diagram, in the bottom right corner, we have tried to map the stakeholders, the users, to the tools that are provided by the platform to demonstrate the needs of standardization of such communication tools. Then we can move further to the abstract building blocks. As presented above, we have three pairs of top-level platform components: runtime, developer, and community support. Each of platform and tool parts. The abstraction process from the complete architecture is consolidated here as a reference architecture, and we have depicted these abstract building blocks. You can see the mapping of each of these to the components. The first group of building blocks on the left are specific for the runtime platform, and they will be explained in the next slide. So here we have the control center, or as we say, UCC, Universal Control Center, that is responsible for the deployment and consequent configuration, personalization of the services into the AO environment. The developer depot provides all resources the developer needs to get started developing the AO applications, also plugins for the targeted platform for tests, etc. The AO Studio is provides a set of development tools, wizards for modeling and facile the developer process. The use store, this is our application store. It maps both to the community support platform and community support tools, because through this the developers can share their services, service parts. The service providers can compose services, offer them to the community, and the community can, or the end users can retrieve services and deploy on and use on their platforms. So moving to the building blocks of the runtime support platform, we have used the layered model to describe the node middleware that does things that are specific that should be existing on any platform, and they provide abstraction from the underlying hardware and software platform. Normally this is done by a middleware that could be considered as a kind of container, providing functionality for communication, lifecycle management, etc. It also deals with exchange of data and a representation of the data model. So next we have a number of managers or specific functions, functional blocks. For example, the context manager that is responsible for adequate communication, both push and pull based between the providers and consumers of context data, information of environment and the data model. So it provides the brokering of the information. It facilitates access to non-storage and ensures a certain level of persistence of the data, so it could be queried and retrieved if needed. The extensions of these components provide some useful functionalities that could be implemented on top of the basic model, and that could be specific for the kind of the platforms could be used by some set of users and that are not mandatory. The service manager is realizing the service-based interoperability of the components. So here we have registration of the functionality, brokerage between the service providers and consumers, matchmaking of the received requests and offers, providing also for service composition and orchestration. As mentioned, the extensions, these are some common services, common functionality that could speed up the development of the different AL services and applications. The UI management is the part that communicates with the end users, and this building block addresses the challenges related to explicit interaction between the AO spaces or the technical part and its human users. As extensions, we have some UI handlers, management of the communication presentation based on location of the user, available devices, etc. The building block of the LDDI, or local device discovery and integration, is responsible for integration of physical devices, sensors, actuators to the runtime platform. It abstracts the communication protocols and specifics implementation type of the devices. The remote interoperability block is dealing with the interaction between the AO spaces and the outside world, so between AO spaces themselves, different kinds of instances of AO spaces or AO space and systems that are out of these premises. The security and building block is stretching from the bottom to up because the issues that are handled there are important for all layers and levels of the application development management. Moving further with the structural aspects, I would like to present you the information model that deals with some elements regarding the service management. The service is dealing with kinds of operations that should be executed. That's why we are talking about operation profile. For example, component 2 on the right side registers the operation by registering its profile, what could be done, specifics. Then when a component like component 1 on the left side issues a service request, the service management is analyzing these, providing matchmaking, etc. And at the end, forward the service request to the component 2 by calling the operation. The operation is executed by the component 2, then the reply is returned to the service management that was and it was forwarded back to the originator, to the requester, as a service response. Similar to the context management, we have a subscription of context events, and when a component like the one on the left publishes an event, the context manager is responsible to notify the subscriber this. The user interaction management deals in a way similar to service management, so the components register their capabilities. These are mainly UI handlers, media interfaces. So when the component requests some interaction, it is forwarded to the proper UI handler, and then the information is presented to the end user. If needed, user input is returned back through the UI management model to the originator, to the requester. So moving further with the behavior aspects, as mentioned, these were services that we have identified. We call them reference architecture services. These are services that we think should be available on the platform, but at this point, in the point of reference architecture, there is no mandatory sets of services. This should be defined by the concrete architecture and implementation. So we have our reference architecture services that are provided by the different stakeholders, 3 stakeholders listed here, and grouped also in 4 groups depending on the direction of the provision. whether this is platform to platform, to other platform is meant here, platform to client, these are tools and that are attributed to the end user. Peer, this is between platforms of the same within the same platform or between similar platforms, and also special case platform to AO service parts. This is case how the services are handling the reference architecture services are handling pieces of software, hardware that actually provides the service for the end user. Moving. Now, I don't know if we have time to go in details in all these services and the blocks. I'm going to scroll slowly through the presentation. There is a text provided, so you can stop in any time your presentation and read the text. So as I mentioned, there is a special case of services. These are services provided by authorities and controlling entities. These are audit services. Here we need to provide some logging capabilities, reporting analysis, monitoring of the behavioral services. And we can move now to the deployment aspects of the reference architecture. So each of the reference architecture services described previous can in theory be deployed separately or operated by a separate business entity, playing the role of one of the four stakeholders types. For instance, one player can specialize in security-related services, while other might specialize in remote configuration, etc. So deployment is in this sense a business topic as well as technical topic. The technical aspects, how the services that are deployed will interoperate with each other. This is an agreement where the services will run in the network, how they'll communicate with other services, using what kind of protocols, etc., etc. While the business aspects relate to who is going to provide each service, but providing, confirming the service implies deploying the service, operating it, supporting, etc., selling. We can start with a simplified scenario. Here we have three physically distinct deployment locations for each one of the platforms. Each of this location is in charge of the services associated with that part of the platform. And our assumption is that these three locations are physically distributed, separated, and connected using network. Now we go to a more complex scenario where we have deployment of multiple services on top of the same runtime platform, the upper left diagram, or deployment of the service parts on different runtime platforms within the same AO space. As mentioned in the reference model webinar, the AO space is the generalization of runtime platforms on the same premises, for example, in the form of the assistant person or supermarket somewhere else. So here we have a more realistic scenario where different runtime platforms communicate with each other, and there are parts of the service distributed over these runtime platforms. We have the legacy node that represents applications that are not that cannot be described by this reference architecture, but nevertheless there is a component interacting with them. So for our deployment scenario, this is something like that the legacy node is part of the service running on some runtime platform. So we can move further. And this is the general deployment scenario that we could have. We have multiple premises, multiple AO spaces, and the service is distributed over these different AO spaces. The different parts of the services could run in these three premises. Each of them is communicating with community support platform. This is kind of the application store, and of course the developer support platform is responsible for providing updates and binaries of the software. I can give an example of this. For example, an alarm service. We could have an alarm company, and the relatives also could benefit of installing this service in the home. So they install in their own premises part of the service for getting notification. For example, the service 1 is the alarm monitoring service. It might involve parts that run on the normal Windows PCs. This part will be deployed in the premises of the alarm company to monitor the alarms. And in the elderly home, we could also have alarm software itself that is on a device that is representing a physical alarm. This could be deployed in the elderly home. A communication service that provides notifications for messages could be deployed on the home of some relative elderly person, also in the home of the elderly person. At the end, I would like to provide an ecosystem that is very similar to the example that I have given. I think that it covers a great part. It should be described as a storyboard with video names. For example, company Ustore Incorporated that decides to create a community and provide some services. Also, company for payment, etc. Names of the users. But what is more important here is that here we have an example of more elaborated deployment scenario. And I think that this covers all aspects that we could discuss regarding the reference architecture. And now I would like to thank you for your attention, and in case you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Vanelli, for this this introduction into the reference architecture. There are 2 points I would like to add. One point would be the AALOA website. If you would like to get into contact with universAAL, maybe also talk about standards and talk about new project in the health area, this is where you should also go and just join, and you will receive all the information we can share there. The second point is the next webinar. The next webinar is going to be about the concrete architecture, how this, what Wendy just described, is concretely done in universAAL. This is the last step, the lowest layer of universAAL. This will take place on the 23rd of October. Next week we are going to have a big conference in Scotland, where we are going to talk about the details and finalizing the universAAL platform. So if you are in Scotland, you might check it out. And the last thing I want to add is I have a survey which I would like you to fill out if possible. It's on another layer. Let's switch to it. It's 9 questions. It would be great if you could fill it out, and yeah, then we would have feedback and can adjust our webinars accordingly. This webinar is recorded. You can have a look at it again at YouTube. I will upload it soon after today. And you can also have a look again, I said at the beginning already, at the other videos there as well. Just in YouTube, just search for Project universAAL in one word, and then you will have the stream of our videos. So I would like to ask you for any questions that you might have. If you have them, please post them in the chat. And Wenlin and I will be very happy to answer them. Okay, we have a question. So the question is, where can I find the resources needed to deploy universAAL? So before Wendelin is answering this, I would like to tell you that the next webinar is going to be about the reference architecture, the concrete architecture, and after this, the webinar on the 30th of October will be about the developer tools. So this might be of interest as well. And then we have one about the communities and the U-Store again. So now I hand over to Wendelin for the answer.
So, in general, all informational documentation could be found on the website of the universAAL project. Let me find the URL.
The URL is universAAL.org.
Yes, so here you can get links, references to the developer depot, where the source code snippets can be found. Also, a reference to the uStore. This is an example of application service store where the services could be deployed and offered to end users, so sold. This is the repository. The software repository is deployed in universal.org, while the official website is www.universal.org. Thank you, Konstantin. So if you go there, you will get links, information to documentation, to different platforms, the developer platform. Also, we have SourceForge-based project with repositories. And you can start from there and get in touch with the developers. Or you can send me an email if you have any problems, difficulties accessing the website or the needed resources. And if you are asking about human resources as developers, yeah, we can assist also in this. So write me a mail and we can discuss this issue too.
We also have on the universal side a calendar where all the events are posted. So please check there for any events we have. Any more questions? This is not the case. So I would like to thank you for your patience, or maybe we have. Okay, no questions. Okay, then great. I hope everybody had fun during this webinar, and we look forward to have you join for the next webinar as well. And as I said, you can review it, I think, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow on the YouTube channel again, if you would like to review anything you have seen today. So thank you, and hope you're well.
Thank you for participation. All the best from me too. Bye.